Hello and welcome to the Economic Times NEXTGEN CIO Summit, when industry leaders from across the tech arena discuss the evolving role of CIOs in future-proofing businesses. In this special episode, we bring you an exclusive event highlight. First up, we have a chief guest address on 2022 Leadership Vision, How Forward-Looking CIOs Are Driving Business Strategy by Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary, Industries and Commerce, IT, Electronics and Communications Departments, Government of Telangana.
Many of you would know that Telangana is a new state. It got created in 2014. But ever since we got created as a new state, we took it upon ourselves that whatever we do will be tech-enabled. One of the main reasons why there was a demand for this state and why eventually the state was created was because of a feeling that much more economic development, etc., was happening in the other part of the combined state and not so much in the Telangana region. And therefore, the demand that we will be the masters of our own destiny, we will take our own decisions. And right on day one, this very important decision was taken that the state will be driven through technology. Technology will be one enabler which will help us fast track. So Telangana that way has truly lived up to that initial expectation that we will be tech-enabled. I would also suggest that the CIOs look up to newer opportunities that are coming up, whether you are targeting, whether your company works for the government segment or the enterprise segment or the customer segment. There are amazing array of new opportunities which have opened up. And in government, the way we look at it is that there are two ways in which we are looking at our own version of Digital India, which is called Digital Telangana. One is to ensure that all the government processes become digitalized. So in Telangana, the latest work that we are doing for the benefit of all the government agencies and departments is to introduce cloud and cloud computing for them. So we have come out with a data center policy, we have come out with a cloud adoption policy, and that is one direction in which we are pushing all the government departments, and there's a reasonable amount of success. And I'm pretty sure that India can take a very big lead in providing solutions and products, not just for ourselves, but for the whole world. Thank you very much for inviting me.
My objective with this session is to share with you some of the practical actions your organization can take to create new value by innovating with your data. So at Dell Technologies, we believe that in this data era, your organization's competitive advantage is directly determined by how quickly you can turn raw data into meaningful insights that drive your business outcomes. So how do you get started? To get a new value by innovating with data, you will need to do three things. Prepare to meet data where it lives by modernizing your infrastructure to meet the needs of the decentralized data era. And you can do that by connecting the people, things, and systems in your digital ecosystem. Building your edge by bringing applications and infrastructure closer to your data so you can unlock real-time use cases. And at the same time, it is important to avoid edge sprawl by maintaining the consistent operating model across private, public clouds, and the edge locations. Let's now turn our focus from infrastructure to the data itself. Today, many organizations take too long to convert data to information, to knowledge, to wisdom, which highlights the importance of optimizing the flow of data throughout your organization by modernizing your data pipelines to remove the latency and get right data to the right people in your organization at the right time. To do that, you will have to master the life cycle of your data from cradle to grave. Take your organization decision make beyond human scale using the artificial intelligence, and transforming security from being an inhibitor of innovation to an accelerator. So in this final section, I'm going to talk about how to use the insights generated from all your data to create personalized integrated experience, smarter and connected products, and data-driven business models that your customer talk about. You will need to modernize your innovation process by transforming how you design and build the digital products, delivering better software to production continuously, acquiring the digital innovation skills your organization needs to be successful in this data era. But now, how can you get started? Ask for a follow-up sessions to explore how Dell EMC's file, block, and object storage options can meet all your data storage needs. And moreover, how can you protect your most valuable asset, data, with our industry-leading data protection capabilities? And you need to plan, if you're not sure where to start in your journey to become a data-driven business, our consulting services will help you assess your current state of data innovation maturity, define the target future state, and map out your unique journey to evolve IT from where you are now and where you want to be there in the value with your data. And if you are shortage of your skills, our Dell Technology Education offers professional certification to help you build in-house competencies in data science, data engineering, and platform engineering as well. And finally, accelerate by engaging with some of our own Dell digital data scientists and engineers to learn how they overcome the data challenges and the lessons learned from those digital transformation. Thank you for attending this session.
Welcome back. Next up, we bring you an inaugural CEO panel discussion on expectations of CEOs from the new age CIOs.
Let me start this question first to Mr. Agarwala. What is your vision of a new age CIO in this age of technology, innovation, and disruption to drive the digital transformation?
As per Gartner's report, almost more than 125,000 large-size organizations are starting the digital transformation of their businesses. So obviously, CIO has a very different role to play. In my thinking, the CIO has to be able to bring the digital in the center point, in the center as a tool, as a platform to formulate the business strategy and plans how to achieve the business goals. He needs to develop a good general understanding of all aspects of the business, like what is the value proposition of the business, how business model is for creating value for the business and for customers, what are the key processes, whether it is supply chain, finance, marketing, sales, and people aspect also. Basically, he has to be able to first understand the dimensions and then be the architect of this change management. So this is the new role we expect the CIO to play.
Mr. Jayakumar?
The businesses have evolved to a stage where technology has become integral to every operations, every part of our business. And therefore, the role is for the entire organization also to transform. So I think the starting point for me is how does the company or the business accept this whole thing of change? The second thing is how do we see this function as an integral part to the business and not as a separate function which is to be run by a CIO. So the KPIs of every management team member, be it the CEO, be it the CFO, be it the operations officer, or even the safety officer, is all linked to the KRAs of the CIO. So that is the second important factor of change management that we have to drive from the top team, where we make the CIO an integral part of the management team and not just a service department. So that's my take, Arvind, from my side.
Mr. Srinivasan, your thoughts?
Of course, in every industry today, the CIO's role is changed a lot. Like, it's no more a standalone role. And over the last year, we have transformed from CIO to a chief digital officer. And today, what we call this position is a chief intelligent officer. CIO is no more a chief information officer. Because in everything, what is the expectation from our side, a CEO in the operations or the business to improve the profitability, to support the growth, or to improve the speed of the development, to improve the customer satisfaction. That is possible only when we adopt the technology which analyzes and gives some intelligent results which makes us to improve further. CIO has to be connected with the expectations of the business, starting from understanding what the customer expects from us and how to be competitive in our business. He has to be an integral part of the strategy and passionate about achieving results.
Well, data is a new gold, as we call it, but businesses need to understand that mining that data and converting them to diamonds is more important going ahead. How do you do that? So every organization needs to have a data protection and management group in place. Now, ideally, that data protection and management group should be reporting into the CISO, and it should have some primary responsibilities and KRAs. Three most essential KRAs in my head is ensuring that the whole organization has got a uniform compliance in place in terms of how data is maintained and how the integrity of the data is maintained. That's one. Second thing is how do you constantly monitor that the SOPs which have been built by the data protection team are ensured on a 24/7, day in and day out basis. And point number three is, if there are any changes to the environment, how quickly do you respond to that and ensure that the integrity of the data is maintained throughout the organization? So that in my head is how an organization can use data efficiently going ahead and ensure that their businesses can grow.
Moving on, we have a fireside chat on how CIOs are shaping the customer experience.
When consumers have an exceptional experience versus just a very good one, they're at least 2 times more likely to recommend that experience and that brand to others. And you can see the numbers. The numbers are very impressive. The question that we have here on the fireside chat is, what role do the CIOs have in making this happen? So Rajiv, let's begin with you. Can you please share an experience that stood out as exceptional for you, and maybe what role did you have in it?
So if you look at customer experience, so what is customer experience is your customer perception of your business, the brand, or the service or a product. So let me take an example of a switchboard repair. How can we leverage AR/VR technology using an Android phone? The application, what it is, it really guides a technician at a customer location step by step to check the defect and issues in a switchboard, leveraging his simple Android phone, what he would have in his hand. And what did his application do? Improve the OEM interactions. And what does the OEM get as a manufacturer? He really gets to reduce the warranty costs. And this has really enhanced the customer experience. Just see how the role of a CIO is transform the experience of a small end customer service technician in a customer location to fix a particular switchboard, what he would have asked an OEM or an expert to come and help you fix it out.
Kaushik, what's your perspective on this?
Pratik, of course, Rajiv illustrated the point brilliantly with an excellent example. But being a part of a much smaller organization, our vantage might be a little bit different from what his experience is. For example, we don't have a dedicated customer experience team yet, but we deliver big on customer expectations. A few months ago, we were neck deep in integrating an identity and access management solution for a very large government PSU. But while building the solution, Pratik, we realized that very large number of those employees or the end users would face multiple challenges using that system. So at that juncture, we decided that despite the extra work, we would build out a complete end user journey and interweave it with a self-learning knowledge portal. So my point is that thankfully at an organization of any size, it is possible to build delightful customer experience.
In our next session, we have a special address on the role of CIOs in shaping digital resiliency and the digital first economy by Abhishek Singh, President and CEO, NEGD, Government of India.
So based on the experience of the government, what we have found is that the amount of the pace of adoption of digital in the last 2 years has been phenomenal. If we look at the projects that we have implemented across domains and across sectors, the adoption of every app or every portal that we have done has been very high. Just to mention DigiLocker project, for example, which is the document wallet system that we have implemented, the number of users on DigiLocker have gone up from almost 30 million to 100 million plus now. So if you look at all these platforms, I can go on and on about other platforms like Diksha, the National Academic Depository, the eSanjeevani, everywhere. The common thread across all these platforms is that the implementation strategy has moved from implementing monolithic technology solutions to scalable platforms on a platform-based architecture in which we integrate services and we bring everyone together and ensure that they are able to use that. Another common feature which makes them scalable and in India, whenever we design a tech platform, we design it for 1 billion plus people. So whenever we do that, it has to be a cloud-first strategy. So any CIO who is building a tech solution for a country like India, with the size and magnitude of India, we have to adopt a cloud-first technology. The other approach that has worked, what we have seen, which has become the common thread across all the projects that we have implemented at scale, is a mobile-first approach. Like any service that is offered today, we find that more than 90% citizens consume it on the mobile device. So having the mobile first approach is a very, very important strategy that a CIO needs to adopt in the present times and present world. So to be in a resilient digital economy, these are the few points that I wanted to share on this forum today.
Welcome back. Our next session focuses on accelerate growth and business transformation with cloud.
I personally have been engaged with a number of my clients in their cloud transformation journey. As with anything that comes new, this all started with a grand promise, a promise that will always be partially fulfilled because the expectation is going to be too high. Just as an example, about 4 years back, we started moving sales transformation application set for one of our consumer business client into cloud. In about 3 months into the journey, we had to make a significant change in the business process flow to make our client understand what are the changes that they need to bring in the way they work for cloud to work. And lastly, had to bring in a number of technology interventions and tools that were in cloud to actually make it happen in the cloud way. They said data is the new oil. Well, I don't know how oil goes in cloud. Probably it doesn't because it becomes a cloud burst at that point of time, but it clearly is running the cloud. With that remark, Kariappa, if I may just request you to come over and speak through your experience and point of view on this.
So when we have this conversation with most of the industries, right, and they want to bring across a lot of these, innovation, transformation across their factory floor, shop floor, right? And they say, I want to bring in AI, ML, IoT, augmented reality to the way I operate on the shop floor today. And that's where you need an enterprise data lake or that manufacturing data lake for a particular customer, right? Now, because data need to come to one place wherein you build a context to the data. And once the context is there, you can bring insights out of the data, right? And how do I do that to build a manufacturing data? Cloud is playing that big role today, right?
What's your point of view on how cloud can enable us to do that better?
Fivetran is a startup from the Valley. It is primarily leading the data integration approach in the world and modernizing it completely. It's a cloud born, a cloud growing, and a cloud accelerating company in its true spirit, by the way. Pretty much because of the digital revolution and COVID, which has further accelerated it like in multiples today, pretty much all of us are living our entire day of life on mobile applications or on desktop applications. And that has led to petabytes and exabytes of growth in data. At the same time, the cloud emergence is significant, because of which the cost of storage and the cost of cloud computing has come down drastically. Now, this has really helped businesses to kind of take the huge production of oil or the data, analyze it, process it, and make really meaningful impact to business out of that. Because of cloud coming together, this is possible. And companies like Fivetran are completely starting up and thriving on these cloud technologies.
Up next, we bring you an intriguing panel discussion on how CIOs can drive organization change.
I actually would start up with you, Rupesh. So as a leader, when you are driving this transformation agenda in your organization, what are the 2 or 3 big challenges that you see in driving the change? What are the impediments that are coming in the way?
Digital transformation is given in today's context. So every organization is embarking on that journey. So first and foremost for leadership is walk the talk. So whatever we are embarking has to be top driven, but involve the people at the lowest level of the organization as well. So to do that, of course, HR intervention in terms of creating a digital culture in the organization is equally important. Similarly, on the technology side, for each and every business problem, you will find one or the other way to solve it using technology. But most important is to identify where we want to go and what is our ultimate objective. So to achieve those objectives, what are the business problems we want to solve? That is first we have to identify. And then we have to identify the right technology to solve those problems. Next important pillar in this journey becomes the implementation or technology partners you choose. If these couple of points which I mentioned are taken care of or addressed, I believe most of the digital transformations can be successful.
So let's hear it from you, Ankur. When you think of cloud in the context of digital transformation, what do you think is the role of cloud to drive this whole digital transformation, not just today, but into the future?
As companies today are accelerating their digital transformation journeys, cloud adoption is absolutely becoming an imperative. There are multiple criteria to look at or to choose the right cloud strategy. One of the most important in cloud adoption is fit for purpose. I mean, your cloud strategy should exist to enable business strategy. Compute cycles are absolutely commodity these days. So it's not just about migrating to the cloud, but rather integrating cloud into the entire business value chain is how it should be looked at. Choosing the right cloud types, whether it is, hybrid, public, private, multi-cloud environments, or various cloud models. These are important brainstorming points for the diversified internal teams who need to take decisions around these. So I'd like to say that cloud is not just a place, it's a strategy. It's a framework for future success of organizations, which is at the heart of digital transformation.
From a cloud perspective, if you look at it, initially it was mostly a burst out of the compute resources from on-premise to cloud. That was the primary use case which was coming through. But over the years, I think it has evolved aggressively. And I think the pandemic has just accelerated with remote working and so on. So I think the new world is moving more towards making cloud as the business model. For example, everything is changing as a service business model. And we are seeing that the cloud technologies are driving some of these evolution altogether. So most of the digital transformations now is moving towards a hybrid cloud infrastructure. In fact, leveraging the AI on the cloud and bringing sustainability and so on as a combination for driving the business outcomes. So I see that the cloud has evolved significantly from just as an infra provider to now becoming a whole ecosystem by itself. And that's kind of where I see the evolution coming.
In our last session, we have a closing dialogue by Ripu Bajwa, Director and General Manager, Data Protection Solutions, Dell EMC India, on cybersecurity in the digital era, risks and resilience.
I'm sure you will all agree that data has become the most invaluable asset today. All our customers, and you especially, are looking at cloud and multi-cloud environments for protection and management of your information assets and the valuable data sets. So the power of cloud, which is there, also has its own challenges. And how are we helping our customers integrate these multi-cloud environment? We're doing that by bringing it together, making sure that more use cases are available to customers. Firstly, we are helping them look at multi-cloud environments, retaining more data in the cloud, which means more capacity from long-term retention perspective, replicating to cloud for more use cases like disaster recovery, making sure that cloud is used effectively for backup copies in a very efficient manner. These many use cases also demand that the architecture has to be more modern, more cloud ready. And this we are delivering through our proven technologies like data mobility, which means moving very efficiently the data from the client side using very efficient data deduplication technologies so that you're storing less and definitely being able to move less data across your network. So you're saving on costs. So your cloud-ready architecture for modern data protection is going to be a differentiator for you as you consume differential services from these multi-cloud players.